I think we need to get to a point in our lives in this era that we live in that, the brain is an organ. And just like any other body part, you get support when you need a little extra support for that organ.
You are now listening to the Going North podcast with your host, author and speaker, Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, you're going to hear the voice of a different author share their stories, expertise, and their struggles that they had to overcome in life to leave you inspired to get more out of your life. Be sure to not only listen to this episode, but share with others, connect with the authors, and always advance others to advance yourself. Now let's get on with the show. Welcome to the Going North podcast. We bring you some extraordinary humans from across the globe who have done some extraordinary things and have documented it via a published book. And today is no different because we have another author in the podcast house. Another author in the podcast house. That's right. And not left either. That's right. This wonderful lady right here, she had to document a lot of powerful things. After playing the role of a child caregiver, she was able to write her memoir that launched her on a journey of self-discovery that would prove surprisingly healing. And now that's what got her here to today. And you're probably wondering who this awesome human is. It's the one, the only MD herself, Miss Michelle Dickinson. How are you today, ma'am?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah, it's great having you on, too. That's right, indeed, especially with a powerful story such as yours. So mind filling in some cavities where I may have missed some fillings? I probably missed like 24 fillings in the introduction.
Sure, absolutely. Sure. So, my story is really one of perseverance and triumph. I grew up with a mother that suffered from bipolar disorder, and by no choice of my own, I basically was a child caregiver to her, and that experience shaped who I am. We all have stuff that shapes us. That shaped who I became as a young woman and as a woman now. And I really try hard in that story in my book to humanize mental health so people can understand it, maybe fear it less, maybe find some compassion. And I really wanted people to get that regardless of what happens in our past, we have the ability to create our future. And that's what I've tried to do by sharing my story and really making a difference when it comes to the removal of the stigma.
Sweet. And what gave you the confidence to put your story into print?
I had the ability to tell my story on a small TEDx stage, and the response to that was really amazing. People were moved by my story, could relate to it, had their own that they could see in my story, and it gave me the ability to put my pen to paper.
Well, the beautiful thing is that you're able to not only speak the book into existence and write it into existence and basically share it with the rest of the world. So how was it like during that time? Because kids have rough nowadays, but back then you had it rough even early, like with living with the mother's bipolar. It's like,
yeah,
that'd be horrible.
Yeah, I think we look around ourselves today and say we have a stigma that we need to, just get rid of so people can be comfortable. But even back then, it was much worse. My mom was on every type of drug that I can remember. She would be on a product that didn't work. She'd switch to another one. She went to the hospital, had to undergo shock therapy. I was home taking care of the house, really trying to just navigate life almost without my mom. My grandmother would step in. But there was a lot of shame and there was a lot of embarrassment. No one wanted to talk about it. No one wanted to, openly say, okay, well, she's not well. She was taken to the hospital. She's going to get better. And, instead there was an embarrassment. I didn't tell any kids at school. You just I just had to navigate it, and it was my normal. So it wasn't like I was feeling slighted or anything, but it was just like my reality. But when I look back on it, it was not easy.
Definitely, because like as a kid, you're trying to like be superhero in a way, and sometimes you may blame yourself, and it's not even your fault to begin with, and they may even want to protect the child as well, to protect you from bad thoughts, whatever, and try to keep you positive and all the other good stuff, and definitely had to be rough.
It also taught me resilience. The one thing in my book that I was able to reach after a lot of healing and a lot of therapy was that, that experience actually did positively serve me, because I am so much more resilient than I think, a lot of people I know. I can find sunshine on a cloudy day because I lived with a woman that would cry, and there was nothing I could do to console her. So I had to create that for myself. So I think in a lot of strange ways, it did serve me into having some qualities and having that empathy and that ability to elevate myself when I'm down,
Ah, beautiful thing indeed. And that's something we all need, a good, healthy dose of resilience.
Yep, for sure.
That's right. Maybe even a 12-pack of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because life is going to throw you a punch now and then, right? It's like no joke.
Yep, that's right. And life doesn't tattoo the word fruit on its fist when it punches you either. It just throws it straight at you. Haymakers.
Yep.
Well, one thing about mental illness, that sounds like people feared it at one point back then, and heck, some still do nowadays. Why do you think that is? It's probably just from not fully understanding, but do you think there may be something else to it?
Yeah, I think ignorance, right? Like if you don't know enough about something, it's very easy to just go by what you see in the media or what you hear. So I do think that if you don't have enough information, if you relate to mental illness as a crazy person instead of someone who deals with, an illness of an organ, and that organ happens to be the brain, I think it's the embarrassment that people might have to even start to relate to it as something that could affect a loved one or themselves. So I think we need to get to a point in our lives in this era that we live in that, the brain is an organ. And just like any other body part, you get support when you need a little extra support for that organ. And it's not a big deal. What is the big deal is ignoring it, because you certainly wouldn't ignore a broken leg. You would get help. You would get support. So I think we need to help people shift that relationship to brain health overall.
Brain health indeed. That's right. Got to have that healthy mind right there. That's right. Make it want to have both its arms up flexing.
Exactly. Exactly. You got it.
That's right. Have like a brain bodybuilding contest.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Any other plans for basically kicking it a high gear and maybe even informing more people about the importance of self-care, especially self-mental care?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for me, it's always been about using my book and my speaking opportunities to really help people have a better relationship. Because the moment you share yourself and your story, other people maybe start to look within or look around themselves and start to get a little bit more comfortable with the conversation. So if I can do that through public speaking, through talking to different groups, I want to do that, and the book has given me that opportunity, whether it's morning TV or a local Rotary Club or even a high school. I particularly love talking to kids because it all starts with kids having healthy relationship to their mind and having the courage to raise their hand if they don't feel well before it's too late or they feel hopeless. So I love that. And the other thing that I'm really up to is we spend so many hours at work every week. And I think we need to do a better job of creating compassionate work environments where people can be their full selves, that they can be accepted for having an invisible disability as if they had a physical disability. So I'm getting real excited to be doing some work with workplace culture because I think in order for people to feel comfortable at work, that is the fundamental thing that has to shift, and there needs to be more compassion in the workplace.
Nice indeed. That's right. Compassion is definitely needed. So do you do anything in particular to keep yourself and your mind healthy that you mind sharing with others?
Yeah, so I've been going through my own stuff. I'm happy to share. So last year was a rough year for me. I ended a marriage. Recently, my divorce was final, and last year was the first time that I personally struggled with depression. So I know the importance of, now I get it. I get it from the lens of someone that has been struggling with depression, struggling to put the smile on and go to work, and struggling to navigate life. So for me, and even now, I'm dealing with my own stuff, as well, even now in the middle of July here. But finding an outlet was vital for me. So when nothing else was working, I knew that if I took care of my body, my physical health, that would give me momentum and help me. So I took on training for a triathlon that I'm going to be doing in 2 weeks, and that training regimen has been a lifesaver because, from working out, you get endorphins and you also feel great. So that's really helping me. So my secret is, finding something and staying active.
There you go. There you go. Keeping that physical goddess status, I see. All right, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, indeed. That's right. That's right. Good luck on that triathlon. You're going to kill it. You're going to kill it. That's right.
Thank you.
You are going to slay. That's right. She is going to slay. Yes, man.
I hope so.
Oh, ain't no hope. It will. It will indeed. And it's a very valid point that you brought about the physical activity. Heck, even myself before. I remember one time after a really good CrossFit session where I was sweating and I wasn't fully dead after it. I was actually ignited to write part of my book. So any powerful ideas came out of just one of your training sessions for the triathlon, or just heck with regular physical activity?
I just recently published a blog on my website, which is breakingintomylife.com. I had taken a little hiatus from my blog writing, but I wrote a blog about the power of bouncing back, because I was watching a UFC fight between two women, and I never watched this. But the thing I was really clear about was how when you get knocked down in the ring, you must bounce back or you will be pummeled. And I compared that to the brain. And, if you don't quickly have that resilience to bounce back up, you're done. So I think that really hit home for me, the importance of doing whatever you need to immediately get back into action and don't just, think you can just sit there and everything's going to resolve. You have to be in action.
Beautiful indeed. So I guess we're going to be seeing you in UFC in a couple of years?
No, not me. Not me at all.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Please keep the face. I like the face. Please keep it.
Me too. And my teeth.
Oh, yeah, definitely those. Pearly whites are always a beautiful addition.
That's great.
Well, that's awesome indeed. You're definitely right about the bouncing back too. And it's like, yeah, you got to be like that nice little ball, or heck, even be like Ticker as well. Just keep bouncing and bouncing on that tail.
Yep. Mhm. Yep.
Yes. Right. Yes, indeed. So speaking of tails, are there going to be Well, this isn't really a tale, but I guess another book coming out, or just continue pushing out the message of the current one?
Down the road, I have a lot of people encouraging me to do another book, but I think for now, my focus is to be as big a contribution in eradicating the stigma as I can, however that shows up. Workplace, in the community in which I live and work, wherever someone will have me, I will share openly and hopefully provide something.
Sweet. I guess maybe an audiobook too then, in the meantime.
Maybe, yeah.
That's right, and have you read it. So any advice for those who are looking to do memoirs, especially when it comes to diving in those deep, dark memories that may bring out stuff that they may have forgotten about?
Yeah, you got to go there. I think, one of the things I got in terms of feedback and the reviews that you'll read on Amazon about my book is that people felt like they were with me on the journey. And, in order to really write from a space of this is where I am, this is the experience, this is how the room smelled, this is how I was feeling, you literally have to relive some of the hardest moments. And I chose to do that because I really wanted my reader to get it. But it was hard. There were a lot of tears shed. It took 4 years to write it. So you can only imagine how hard but cathartic it was. So my advice would be willing and able and committed to telling your story as authentically and vividly as possible, and know what's at stake is that through your sharing, you will help lighten the load for a reader. Even if it's 1 or 2 readers, you will make a difference in their life by sharing from that lens.
Ah, sweet, sweet indeed. Just get to that one person that'll affect the 1 million people, maybe.
I had a 15-year-old girl read my book who lives with a bipolar mother, and she wrote me a note to tell me that she had hope after reading my story, that she was going to be okay. So just that little email was worth 4 years of writing.
Definitely, indeed. And 4 years of writing. Yes, indeed. I'm guessing you probably had to do some recovery stuff, too, when you're digging deep back into, like, the old stories, too.
Totally. Like, take a break for a week or 2, take care of yourself, whatever that looks like. Distance yourself from a story for a little bit, whatever you have to do to maintain your momentum. That's what I did.
That's right. Probably indulge in some pedicure swag.
I did a lot of exercising too. Just saying.
Woohoo! Beautiful indeed, solid advice. Well, speaking of advice, if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again in the current year of 2019, what advice would you give to yourself?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think for a long time I believed that my mother's illness was the reaction of my behavior. And I guess a younger version of me, knowing that I didn't cause her illness, would have given me a lot more freedom to just be myself. And, the other piece would be to not put my needs on the shelf. As a 40-some-year-old woman, I still struggle with that to this day because I always put the needs of my mother and my family first before me. And I think for me now, it's really learning to unlearn that behavior and care for myself. So if I was 19 again, I'd say speak up, take care of yourself, make yourself a priority.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Make yourself a priority. Yes, indeed. That's right. Rock solid advice, as they say. Can't forget about yourself. Can't forget about yourself at all.
No.
That's right. I wake up one day as the Ditto Pokemon one day, like, yeah, pink blob swag, woo!
That's funny.
That's right. I went from breaking into my life to copying my life. Yeah, that's right. Well, stop. Even though that's darn near impossible.
Funny.
Well, alrighty, for those who want to keep in touch with you and all that you're doing, heck, even with you now being back in the blog game, what's the best way to reach out to the mighty Michelle?
On my website, it's breakingintomylife.com. You could email me. You could get a free chapter on the website and read it, see if you're interested. Otherwise, it's my book itself is available on Amazon. But I love, love, love hearing from people. So do not hesitate to reach out to me through my website. I'd love to hear from you.
That's right. Head over to that wonderful breakingintomylife.com. Grab like 13 copies of the book. Read one of them. Give out the other 12. Heck, read 12. Give out all of the books. That's right. Let Michelle know how you enjoyed the book, especially since the butterfly escaped on the cover. It's always great when the butterfly escapes.
Yeah.
There's never even butter on the fly, as I noticed. Like, they call them butterflies, but there's never butter on them. Never got that.
Yeah, it's true. But the metamorphosis, the whole metamorphosis thing is pretty powerful.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. From caring child to caring adult who's got a six-pack ready to take on the world.
I don't know about a six-pack, but...
Okay, fine, 8-pack. Okay, I know you're being modest. I get it. Well, somewhat enough of my nonsense. Any parting words for the folks still listening?
No, I mean, mental health is just as important as physical health, and I think the more we talk about it, the more we humanize it, and the less negatively charged it is. So, it could be as simple as asking someone, "Are you okay?" That would make all the difference. So make sure you check in with your loved one.
How's it going, you showstopper? It's great that you enjoyed this episode of the Going North podcast. If you really enjoyed it, be sure to shoot the guest an email or head over to the social media pages and leave them a nice response that you heard them on the Going North podcast, so that way they can continue to be inspired to do great things. And be sure to share this podcast with others that you think would enjoy it as well, because we want to inspire as many people as possible to live their dreams, embrace them, and to do something positive.